My name is Saif, and my parents are here in the audience today. They're happy for two reasons. First of all, that I'm on stage, and second of all, they don't have to pay tuition again. Okay, so my journey started with graffiti, and graffiti is a rejected art form that society did not accept. And I'm talking about 15 years ago. I'm not old, I'm 27, but I started 15 years ago. I listened to punk and metal music, and we were social outcasts, me and this group of people. And we wanted to be heard, and nobody was giving us that platform. So we decided we'd do it ourselves. We're gonna go onto the streets, and we're gonna spray paint our names in big, just like advertisements do it. For 5 years, that's what we did, and it worked great. These companies started to recognize who we are. People started knowing who Saif is. He's a capable artist. Some thought it's vandalism, some thought it's a form of art. The media too, of course the media is never accurate. We captured an audience, they know who we are, and we had to tell them something. Before I jump into that, the importance of questioning and questions is what took my graffiti 15 years ago from doing illegal 2 a.m. graffiti on the streets all the way to right now TEDx and other successful events. The driver of all, the key engine driver of this progression was I raised questions. And that's what this discussion is going to be about. And I'm hoping that this presentation will be a live illustration to you on how you can use questioning to improve your lives, and you can improve the surrounding environment and the world we live in. How can they know about me? That's the graffiti. We just went out, wrote our names, night after night after night, just what advertisements do. All these deodorants and all these cars and all these banks, you keep seeing them over and over and over, and that's how advertisement works. We're 13, 14, 15 at this age, and we just kept writing our names around without permission, and it raised hype. It was on newspapers, and people started asking questions. Who is Saif? So now it's time to show them who Saif and his gang is. Not gang, sorry, his crew. We grew up, right? So we started doing something called street art. Street art is the natural evolutionary from graffiti. Now, as I said earlier, we have an audience, and I have to tell them something. But what do I tell them? You know, graffiti is illegal. So when you have to play on these borderlines, you become aware of the system. You become aware of what laws are and what regulates things. So I had to research, and I had to look into topics that I can portray in my street art. And it happened to be socio-political discussions. So this is one of my first artworks. It's called Minnie and Poor Man, sorry. This was exhibited at a gallery, and what I was trying to say here, now I'm communicating rather than advertising myself. I'm communicating to them, look, there's an issue in the world. We're not taking good care of the people living in poverty. We just keep sending wrong hypes and wrong media towards on how to address these things. So I made an artwork about it. But then I wanted to define these hard beliefs people had. People had beliefs in institutions that I started to question myself. Are these authentic institutions or not? Now keep in mind, a question is as important as the answer. And a question is not just a set of words put in to derive information. A question is a journey. A question will take you from point A to point B. You're going to experiment, you're going to educate yourself, you're going to research, you're going to think, and you're going to come to a conclusion. I turned trash. I defined trash to become something valuable and something creative and something pretty to look at. Now, what is trash? Is trash just the end of a cycle of an object? I don't know. But what I did know is I took trash and I broke the definition of it and created this artwork which gave it a meaning, a purpose, and a value. And showed people how you can recycle outside the box. You can recycle in many ways. So we started doing more. These are a couple of more installations. I started turning the trash into bouquets of flower. And just, you know, trash is something we put on the side. and we don't want people to see it. And what I wanted to do with this series is I wanted to bring that trash and put it on people's walls. And how can I do that? Who would want to hang trash on their walls when guests come? Surprisingly, a lot of people do. So we started doing this series, and it kicked well, it went well. Yet again, it's not enough. So we'll take a couple steps back. First, with graffiti, I wanted to tell them who I am. Then I asked myself, what can I tell them? So I started looking into politics and socio conditions and discussing that. And then I asked myself the question, how can I contribute back to society? Contribution doesn't only have to be donation. It could be informative. It could be raising awareness. It could be recycling. So we did that. Now what's next? Now I started driving into the conceptual form of art. Now I'm going to raise the questions in the viewer's mind rather than me giving them a statement or an answer. So conceptual arts. With conceptual arts, I use the three-dimensional perspective because it enables me to express more and enables me to give out more. Rather than the two-dimensional, you can do a lot more with the three-dimensional. This is a piece, and with my conceptual art pieces, I don't give any interpretation of what my artwork is supposed to be about. This is up for the audience to look at, and they will formulate their own questions. Now, why did I want to pursue that path? I wanted people to raise the questions while looking at the artwork, because when they raise the question and they go seek the answer, it's going to stick for much longer, rather than just a shock value or a beauty value of decorative space. Of course, you turn on the news, it's some good news, but it's a lot of bad news. And I grew up in a household where news channels were always on. So I always like to tackle things I listen to on the news. This next piece is called Children of Rubble. And again, I leave it for interpretation on how you perceive it, and raise questions and have it as a discussion point. A lot of my collectors, they like to buy my artwork, not because they want to decorate a space on their wall. It's because they want to put something that instigates discussions. And discussions gets people further. Collectively, as a species, if we ask questions, we can progress better. Now remember, there's good questions and there's bad questions. The bad questions, for example, the people who invented the flamethrower, they asked themselves, how can we burn a bunch of people from a distance? That's a bad question. A good question could be anything for, how can I improve the environment? How can I help myself? And how can I help others? I hope that this little story, it's not little, it's 15 years, but it was summarized into 15 minutes, can show you how you can take questioning and make your life better, you can make society better, and you can make the planet better. I request you, before I finish this discussion, to go out and always have the questions in mind that, how can I make things better? And by asking the question, you're going to become more educated, and you're going to become a more informed person, and you're going to be able to improve your life and the ones around you. Thank you.